Welcome to the Dixie Doggers podcast. We're here to share knowledge and heritage. We hope y'all enjoy. For the best cut gear in the business, get with Dave Williams at Southern Cross Cut Gear. Make sure to use code Dixie Doggers for savings on all your Southern Cross cut gear. www.hogdoggear.com.
If you're buying or selling land, farms, or hunting property, these folks know land. Get with Phil Wilson from Georgia Land Brokerage, 678-791-3483.
777 Kennels, Advanced K9 Nutrition. Vertex K9 Essentials, Advanced K9 Nutrition, beneficial to all breeds. You can contact them at 979-206-3050.
Relationships, because people's always got what they wanted. So when things get tough and either the male or the husband or wife don't get what they want, they don't know how to handle it.
Oh, it's yeah, you could definitely say that. We had a few years that was really, really good for us, and the last about 3 have been pretty dadgum tough, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm guilty of I guess you'd say, get whatever whenever you need it, just get it, whatever. Yeah. After we got older, and I've had to deal with that even with my wife. You know, it's like, look, you got to slow down. You know, like we've had arguments and stuff, you know, everybody's got, you know, when you've been married for 20 plus years, but it's like, hey, just because we can doesn't mean we should.
Yeah.
Because like, we don't know what's going to happen. I mean,
that's correct.
You know, with the economy and the way the president and all that stuff. I mean, yeah, well, we don't ever know. It changes so much. I just don't.
And look, I was retiring at 50. I had done decided I was going to retire at 50. And I was just going to take the 15% loss on my income. And I figured I could have just put more time in the business and made it up pretty easy. And but when all that cost of living went through the roof about 3 years ago or 4 years ago.
Yes, sir.
Like when stuff was doubling, I said, ooh, I got to thinking about, man, I live to be 80. I might need that 15%.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, that's what, I went back full time as I can get, you know, grandbabies, stuff like that. You know, it's like, I definitely cannot retire.
Yeah, that's right.
I was retired. You know, I was like, I am retired. I had went probably 3 years and didn't take any major jobs or anything. And I was like, I'm just hunting and traveling.
Yeah.
Hemorrhaging money is what I was doing.
Yeah. Right.
Spending a shit ton of it. And then it's like, you know, I could just scrape by, and I still do. I still do. But it's like, I got everything paid for, so I could do another 10 hard years and try to be okay.
Yeah. Well, with us, with the government, you got a pension that'll come in for the rest of your life. And everything's paid for. So my thought is if long as that's going to come in, so that will cover all your basic needs. You know, my house is paid for, all that. So I got to pay taxes, pay food, pay electricity bills. And then I can take and hustle this stuff or whatever, or hustle those hats or whatever I want to do to make as much extra money as I want to do, or hunt as much as I want. But I do want to travel. I mean, I've traveled hunting, but I want to travel to sightsee.
Yeah.
When I get retired, I want to go and like make a whole, just like 3 months, go around the country and just no schedule, no nothing, just me and Tiffany.
I'm going to tell you, it's, I done it with somewhat of a schedule, and I didn't go around the whole U.S., you know, but I mean, I covered a lot of ground in like 2022, 23. And those couple of years there, all the way up to the first part of 24 or middle of 24. I didn't miss any bays at all for 2 years straight, not one. Whether it was Oklahoma, Nixon, Texas, Georgia, where it didn't matter. We were going. And not just that, we were traveling and going hunting as well.
Yeah.
And it was literally one of the best times of my life.
Yeah. And the trick on that, this is just, my problem is, if you ain't got somebody that can go with you though, like a buddy or something,
Oh yeah,
it's just hard to do by yourself.
it is.
You know, like we got lucky when we was filming and doing all them hunts and kind of same principle you just said, traveling, hunting.
Mm-hmm.
I had 2 or 3 buddies who had owned their own business, and one worked for the government like I did, so he could get off anytime he wanted. And you know, we was able to do a lot of that. Now they've all got families and this and that, or don't hunt no more. And heck,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to get people to make trips
Yes. Yeah.
because they can't get away from work for a week.
Yeah.
And I can't. The job I got, that's why I stayed, kept
Mm-hmm.
it. It didn't pay the best, but I said, if I want off tomorrow, if you call and say, man, I got the best place I've ever seen to hunt, let's hunt it for 3 days.
Yeah.
I can call tomorrow and say, hey, I'm off the next 3 days.
See,
and
that's right. Yeah.
you know, and that's why they said, man, why you stay there? I said, well, I get off. I get 5 weeks of vacation, 2 weeks of sick time, and I think it's I don't know 20-something days of holidays.
Damn.
Yeah, I start playing that thing around, and
Yes, sir.
when I'm playing my trips around it. If I'm gonna have like a long weekend and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I use 8 hours of vacation. I go hunt for 4 days.
Yeah.
But like I said, you can't hold it. It's hard to get people that can go with you and just drop and go stuff.
That's why me and Rodney were able to do it, because his schedule, if he plays his right, just like you're talking about, he can take off one day and actually be off for 9.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, see, when you
way
get
a schedule works, you know, and that's not vacation days. That's just because he's on 5 and off 5.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Or maybe it's on 5, off 2, on 2, off 5, something crazy. It ain't
just playing your trip around his.
That's
his
right.
Work schedule.
And me working for myself, I can just be like, hey, I'm gonna go do this, you know.
Well, that my buddy Jay in South Carolina, he owns 2 businesses, but he's sometimes got to be there, but
Yeah.
with any type of planning, he can say, hey, we can go for 4 days, 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
But my buddy Jim that used to do all that, he got married and all that, and kind of got out of hog hunting, so he used to tag along with me more than probably anybody.
Yeah, I understand. It's one of them things. Like, I mean, some people, some of us just gonna do it forever.
Yeah,
it's honestly, it's just our life. And then there's other people where it's like, it consumes them for many years, and then there's a point where they're like, hey man, I'm out, and
yeah.
And there's been times where I've talked to some of the guys that I started hunting with when I first started, and I was like, I can't believe you quit, is what I'm thinking. But then I look at their life as well, and I'm like, I understand. Their kids didn't go hunt with them. Their wife wasn't interested in that, or they had to do something different. They had to make some more money, to put their kids through school and college or whatever. And so you're like, you got to understand that. But me, I'm just a dumbass, and I'm like, no, I'll just hemorrhage money on this stupid shit, and keep doing it.
I tell you what gets people around here, and it even gets me. There's no places to hunt around here.
Yeah.
And it is physically, mentally, I guess you'd say, exhausting trying to keep places to hunt.
20 years ago, it wasn't that hard.
No.
People
where
would call
I live,
us.
and I think I've told you this, all the good land is government land. You can hunt it 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all kind of people that get in it because they want to hunt the government land. But once that closes, they have no place to go. So they outlaw.
Yep.
They go hunt little 20-acre blocks and, get on other people's property. And
they got access. That's all they're getting is access.
Yeah. And I mean, even that's hard to come by.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to drive about an hour north of me, hour and a half to get into decent hunting land. It's got reasonable hogs and acreage.
Yeah, you're further south, ain't you?
Yeah, I'm ranked on the north side of the lake. On now, there's marshland everywhere south of me,
mm-hmm.
but
yeah,
you got to be. I used to hunt it, but you got on an airboat to hunt it, and it's hard to get on.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got some buddies that access to it, but you know, like I said, it's a constant battle for land around here because there's more hunters than there is land.
Yeah, and I'm glad we don't really have that problem right now, but it's coming.
With them boys like Kenneth and stuff y'all hunted with,
Mm-hmm.
I am envious of them and the land they have.
Oh, bro, me too.
And look, and not only the land, but how all the hog hunters are on the same page. Even the ones that but they don't rank each other. They're
Yeah,
on the same
exactly.
page. You know, there's not John going around killing everything. They're all barring, working hogs. They all look at it like the old timers. It is a really neat thing. And that big timberland they got up there is just endless. So and there's just enough land for all the guys to have lots of spots to hunt.
Mm-hmm. Well, like I said, when we were there, it just like you said, we were at one spot. The second day we hunted, and that's when we were over at Charlie and them's, and we were over at that farm, hunted. Dogs got off the property and was on the other side a little bit, if I'm not mistaken. And anyway, and another gentleman, he owns that side. He picked the dogs up and brought them back up there to us, and was like, y'all, come right over here. I posted a video of him talking, and we just sat there on the side of the road and talked, and they were all working together.
Yeah.
Like here, they would have been like calling the game warden and freaking out. And I'm like, nobody, we're all on the same team.
Yeah.
We're all playing the same game. And now don't get me wrong. I'm not going to go turn loose on somebody's spot.
That's right.
But if I'm over here hunting and my dogs then traveled a mile, 2 miles, whatever, and they get over on your spot and I call you or text you and say, hey man, I got dogs over there.
Yeah.
I would appreciate the response to be, hey man, go get your dogs. Y'all be safe.
Yeah.
Now I'm not asking to go over there and tie your hog up and tote it out or kill your hog and bring it out. I'm never going to ask that. I have had them say, hey, y'all go ahead and take care of that son gun while you're in there.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But it should be reciprocated as well.
That's right.
So when somebody calls and says, hey man, or if there's been times where I've seen a dog on camera and I wasn't for sure whose it was, but I texted this one guy. I was in Texas. And he said, man, I think she's across the line. I said, well, I got her on camera. He said, man, I'm so sorry. I said, no. I said, I'm calling to tell you where the key's at.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is,
he still wouldn't even go. He would not go in there. I said, he called his dog out. I said, go get the damn hog.
And if you're over there and you're on a club and you're on 3,000 acres and you get on the next piece of property, okay, that happens.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're over there and you own 5 acres, you're hunting my land.
Yes.
There's a difference.
That's a big damn difference.
Yeah. Same way with some of that competition land. And people find out we got good hogs over there, and they'll get as close as they can to turn out to them.
That's exactly right. We had a friend of mine.
And then stab them.
Just saying that to me, that don't make much. I mean, if you got to bring them in for a tournament, okay, I get that. If I was gonna slip and go get something, it would be for the tournament. I wouldn't just catch them and stick them just for the sake of catching a big hog. That's stupid. If I hunt tournaments.
Yeah. Well, they just feel like, I guess, to take pictures of them. Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know.
I've asked them. I said, man, why do you kill the hogs? And they do. They run a lot of wolf dogs and a lot of them. And they old wolf dogs, and they walk through there and things catch, and there's 8 of them hanging off that thing.
Tear them all to pieces.
Yeah. And I mean, we used to run some rough dogs. You had to get this quick. But I also learned them hogs will survive a lot more than you think they will.
Amen. They surely will.
All right.
So, well, listen, for the listeners out there, I hit the record button a few minutes ago. A lot of times we get going on these conversations and I miss some of the best parts of it. But we've got Mr. Michael from Hardcore Hog Dogs on here tonight with us. And he is going to tell us some of the truth and a bunch of this probably not the truth. Mainly bullshit. A lot of it, I have a feeling. So I'd like to welcome him to the show tonight. And I've been trying to get him on here for a long time, and we just never can make it line up. But he made it happen today. Thank the good Lord. So, Mr. Michael, tell these folks where you from and how you got into this.
Yeah, I'm from Pearl, Louisiana. The real reason we haven't been able to get together because I've been preparing these lives for 2 years.
It takes time.
So we've got some good ones. But
yeah.
no, we got into this when I was a kid. My dad done it when I was little. Really, the whole family had some type of hunting dogs. Dad had hog dogs. My grandpa had fox and deer hounds. So kind of raised in it. And for some reason, I really like the hog dogs. And as I got to old enough to do it on my own, I run deer dogs and hog dogs, and they kind of phased out deer hunting around here as the properties got smaller. So, I still run hog dogs and try to do it every day if I can.
Mm-hmm. And so how long have you had the business going as far as the cut gear and stuff?
So the name rang around 1999.
Mm-hmm.
And how that come up, that was kind of just an accident. Back then they had catch competitions, and hey, we was 19-year-old kids, me and a buddy, and we went to one of them and run our little dog, and didn't do good, so on. Didn't really understand how it worked, but everybody there had them a little kennel name or something. So me and him started brainstorming, and actually a boy he worked up come up with the name Hardcore Hog Dogs. So next one we went to, we was Hardcore Hog Dogs, and just so happened we won just about everything there at the second one we went to. So it kind of stuck, and we went back the next week and won everything again, and really liked it.
It's pretty familiar.
It was a blast. Yeah, so
still doing it.
That, yeah, well, it kind of stuck, and then we started, I guess you call the actual Hardcore Hog Dog business. I had a business called True Woods, still do, but I was raised back when you didn't have hunting on the TV or on the phone at all time. You actually waited to deer season and the new buckmasters come out or real true. So that's what I come up in my teen years. So we wanted to film and all that stuff because we grew up watching those guys. And so that's what we started doing. And in, I think it was the year of Katrina, I decided I wanted to do a hog dog video because there was nothing out there really that showed the catches. And it just so happened I met one of my better friends that year, which was Jay Hicks. And we decided to do it, or I decided to do it. And he said, I'll help you out any way I can. And we started traveling and trying to film stuff. And it took us about 18 months or so, 15 months to film the first one. I edited it myself, uploaded it on YouTube. It done 1 million views, and they just started selling like crazy. And so we started working on another one, of course. And the second one we uploaded, which took another year, but it done like 6 million views, and we just sold the heck out of them. So we said, hey, we'll start a website for these DVDs. And then we started putting, okay, we got a website. Let's put some leads on there. So if a guy buys a DVD, he can buy leads. Well, let's put this or that. And we actually tried to stay out of the cut gear business. And just, it wasn't being done the way I thought it should be done. And customers wasn't being taken care of. We was trying to help other companies. And so it just so happened the day this is funny how things work. The day I decided I was going to get in the cut gear, my buddy Jay, same buddy called. He said, hey, you ever need Kevlar? I got a buddy that can get you Kevlar. Within hours of me deciding that, I said, yep. we started making the cut gear and start trying to make everything lighter, easier to move in and stronger, and it took off. And heck, I guess we've been making cut gear for 20 plus years now.
Hell yeah. That's pretty cool. It because I can remember when the first video came out. I had been hunting, just getting into it,
Mm-hmm.
And because like where I was raised, there was guys that hunted and they ran dogs and stuff. But I moved when I was in my teens, and I moved to Alabama, and there was nobody doing it here. Now down South Alabama they were, but where we're at, like there was nothing here, no hogs. And I seen that video. There was a few hogs like around Tuscaloosa, down there in the river bottoms. And then, of course, up in Bankhead National Forest, which is above us. And so that's where the guy that started me hunting, that's where he started hunting, just walking through the forest up there. And I messaged him. I said, hey, you seen this video? He said, no. Because it's on YouTube. He said, what the hell is YouTube? I said, I don't know. Somebody sent this to me. Or told me to look it up. I was like, okay, because back then we had cell phones. I think I still had two-way radios, Nextel.
Yes, right.
And we looked it up, and I was like, look at these hillbillies. I said, there's something wrong with these boys. I said, they out there videoing this shit. They gonna get in trouble. Because there was no law for us here at that time, but we weren't supposed to hunt the management area, and that's the only place we had to hunt. So we thought everywhere was like that. So I was like, they're gonna go to jail.
Well, and the year we started doing that was the year they in Louisiana started opening some of the management areas.
Oh hell!
And actually, the first year they only opened 2, and the local WMA was one of them.
That had to be like 06, 07?
It was the year Katrina hit. I'd have to look that up.
05, 06.
2005. Yeah.
Okay, that's about right. I think I seen it in like 7 or 8.
Mm-hmm.
Was when I seen the video.
Okay. Yeah, and we was kind of, what I did different, I really try to not make it about us. We wouldn't use a video unless you could see the catch.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually made a lot of mistakes doing that, because let's just say we videoed a hog for 20 minutes trying to get the right angle, and we sent the catch dogs and he moved and we missed the catch. I would just delete all the footage and be mad. And I should have been uploading all that stuff, but when we was doing that, we had no idea what we was doing. We was just filming stuff and editing and putting out the best footage we could.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, you couldn't see that footage on your phone, or there was no Facebooks or stuff like that. And so when we started making those DVDs, when people saw them, a lot of them, that was the first time they had saw bay and catch footage like that.
Yep. Sure enough.
I mean, now you can see it everywhere. It's on TikTok or Instagram or whatever. But
all we had was rough dogs, and it was so thick. We never got to see bays or anything. So when you were doing that, when I watched that video, so after that we were like, how can we see our dogs work in the woods? Because sometimes we would have some of them jags, they would bay on a real big hog that was just they couldn't hold.
Yeah.
And that's the first time I went to Hickory Crossing. And I went solely so I could watch my dogs bay a hog and see how they worked. And now look at what y'all did to me. Ruined my life.
What we had to do was leave about half the pack home, because we had some rough dogs then. And even the bay dogs were pretty rough. You had to get it, which you wanted to anyway for the footage, but you had to get on a pretty good hog to make them bay. And even if you watch some of them old videos, most of them hogs would be sitting down after a little while because they would just work them so hard. And but like I said, that was an important thing, and that's honestly what pushed me to looser dogs. And then the more I done that, the more I enjoyed the bay, like you're saying, and then the more we had enjoyed dog work more than just the catch. Because when we was young, it was just about catch as many as we could, as fast as we could.
Oh yeah.
And now it's more about getting the dogs to work and how good they work and so on.
Well, you know, you hear a lot of guys that's our age and older complain about these younger fellers, not just younger, but the newer hunters. And the first thing they do is they bitch about, well, all they're doing is catching hogs. We did the same thing.
Yes. Yep.
We just didn't have social media to show it.
That's correct.
And I mean, honestly, I probably would have, and I was at one time. I never did show the dogs beat up though, because I was from the game dog world, and like, your dogs just ain't nobody's business. I showed the hogs, but I never would show the dogs much.
Yeah.
But we did the same thing, and you get to that point to where you've done it long enough, and it's like you said, it's more about watching how good a dog can work.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Quick thanks to the supporters of the Dixie Doggers podcast.
Light Hounds.
Southern Cross Cut Gear.
Phil Wilson with UC Hunting Properties.
Rankin Ranch 38 Cattle Company.
777 Kennels Advanced Canine Nutrition.
And the old Boars N Broads.
Yeah, and when we was younger, we was a lot rougher on the hogs, but there wasn't as many hunters. And as the hunter population has grew, and the traps and night vision and everything that's come along, the land has gotten a lot smaller, like we was talking about earlier. It's become good hog hunting spots and stuff is very valuable. So we do a lot more managing and taking care of hog population and trying to get big hogs. We almost treat them like deer. But that's why we're able to do really good with big hogs, because heck, 20 years ago, a big hog around here was 200 pounds.
Yeah.
And, you know, we catch a lot of 250s, 280s now. And it's like I said, it's the same process or principle as growing big deer. It's age, genetics, and food.
And you know, people don't look into that, or look at that side of it until there's a reason, until they start losing properties or the hog population starts to dwindle down pretty bad. What do you suggest to some of these guys that's got some property with good genetics? How do you go about managing your herd?
Like I said, I really treat them like deer. We try to keep good food there. You got to keep the population down, which is you have to kill hogs, depending on how much food you got. And we're talking about land that isn't farmland, of course. If you hunt farmland, you just got to kill everything because they tear up so much. But yeah, it's the same principle. You got to let the ones with better genetics get to age, and you know, like I said, have good food around there, and not have so many that the little hogs are eating up all the food. It's the exact same principle as trying to grow big deer.
Got you. So on the now, as far as managing your herd like that, what would you say your ratio is on your bars and boars?
So we don't bar a lot of hogs around here.
Okay.
Not that I don't want to or wouldn't like to. It's just they kill them so bad around here that I mean, we just don't mess with a lot of boars, because a lot of places we catch them, we have to kill them. So what we do is work cameras a lot and manage the hogs with the cameras. And that way, when it comes time to catch the big hogs, we can. You know, you can't turn a lot of hogs loose and that kind of stuff. You just got to go after the right hogs, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
And, our bigger hogs around here, I don't mess with very much until I need to catch them. And we've talked over the years. You saw pictures of me watching them. And I've sent you.
Oh yeah.
Where we might watch a hog for 6-7 months before we go catch him.
Mm-hmm.
And so Kenneth and them come and hunted with me 2 years ago. We caught 6 big hogs and won the Pilots for Patience hunt. And younger kid Dawson that was come with him, he said, "I cannot believe you watched them hogs for 6 months and never went and caught them." He said, "I would never been able to." But I mean, when it was time, we went and caught them, and that was the only way we could win. Because with 200-pound hogs, we wouldn't have won. And I think those hogs averaged around that 230, 240 mark, which it is funny talking about competition. You used to, in Texas, when we hunted them competitions over there, you could win them all day with 250-pound averages. I see 280 and 290s winning now.
Oh,
Used
hell
to
yeah.
in Louisiana, you could win all day with a 200-pound or 220-pound average. It's taking 240s to 250s to win Louisiana tournaments now.
Out there, the boar bash that we've been doing with Boars N Broads, the last couple of years, it started out as a Tulsa Standard hunt, and then it was changed to the boar bash. But for the last 3 years, or 3 out of 4 years, I believe, South Carolina crew has won it. Desmond Hood and Lucas Scott and them. And it's been over a 300 average.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking about they have, and they'll bring a kicker in that's going to be, 330 to 350, big, good teeth. I mean, and the very first one or two that we've done, I told everybody, I said, well, using that big bore score changed a lot of that. It really did. It put it more on a good playing field. So the 260, 270, 280 hogs, they could still compete with the 300 and 320s if they had good teeth.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of folks really, they like that. But I have seen that the weight averages really, really change just in the past 5 years. So it's doing the same thing down there.
Yeah, and people learn how to hunt them, is what I say.
That's what I think.
And they stop. Whether it's a big hog, they look at it and they see, and they, instead of going and catching that week, they wait 3 months to that tournament.
Yeah.
And as big as that hunt's becoming over on that side, those boys are paying attention to those hogs for months. And Lucas and Desmond and them, I talk with them pretty much every January at the Grand American. And, they show me pictures and stuff right before that hunt. I mean, they've got some good hogs.
They've got some good ones.
And they've got some good land to hunt. And what's funny, we've been trying to hunt that hunt, I think, for 4 years now. I can tell you, we tried to do it the year before y'all started to do the big boar score. And I just kept track of it, and we would have won it that year if we'd have done it.
Yeah, I think that was the first one, because we hunted it too.
We caught a bunch of big sows that weekend, because we go up there and hunt that around the same time every year, 2 or 3 times. So because their deer season closes before ours does over here, so we all get together and some friends, and so the next year we tried to put it together, and it just never come together. And where we hunt, and it's over there in north part of Georgia, there's big hogs, but it's sandy soil, so that they do break their tusk off a lot. But we thought we had it finally put together to hunt it last year, and had everything planned out. Heck, I think I had talked to Ryan and told him we were going to hunt it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And the younger boy, Will, that we hunt with a lot, he called me about 2 or 3 weeks before the tournament, and he said, "Man, I don't know what to do." said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Well, I want to hunt that tournament. We done kind of planned it." He said, "But another guy that hunts with us had done promise some people from Kentucky, I think, I could be wrong on that, that they could come down and hunt the same weekend, and we was going to catch them some hogs and let them kill some hogs and stuff." I said, "Well, there ain't but one thing to do. If he made a promise, we're going to keep it. That's what we're going to do."
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we did. And I'm going to be honest, I'm glad we didn't get in the tournament, because we did not catch big hogs that weekend.
Yeah.
We got on little hogs and so on. So I guess it worked out. But I want to hunt that hunt. It's a well put together hunt, and I think we're already trying to put together something for next year. We'll see if it falls out. It's just hard to get. It's hard to get by 4, 5, 6 people lined up.
Yeah, and I mean, it's how far from y'all? 10 hours?
Yeah. Now we was trying to go over there
I
and
got
hunt
you.
it, but yeah, I'm gonna say it's 8 from us.
Yeah, I was thinking about 8. Because
And
I was trying to think how far I was from you. I think we're about 5 hours, 4.5, 5 hours from where you live at, and from where I live at to there's about 4.5.
I know to get to like Waynesboro and Augusta and all that's that 8 to 9 hours.
Yeah. But now you'll be coming straight across the bottom side of Alabama.
That's correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You wouldn't have to come straight up and over and all that shit. So, no, it's still like you said. That's one reason why I don't really hunt a lot of tournaments, because going to other states, that to me that's the only option.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to risk it to hunt here and then travel. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah.
I know there's some that have, and hey, my hat's off to you, brother. Whatever. I'm not doing it, and it's hard to put together a whole crew and try to make all of it work in another state.
Yeah.
So I definitely understand you.
The way they allow dead hogs, that it makes it a lot easier for these guys to come from other states.
Oh yeah.
Most of the ones in Louisiana are all live hog tournaments, so it's a lot harder. Well, all of them have rules that you have to hunt in Louisiana because they keep from breaking laws.
Yeah. That's the thing. There used to be 1 or 2 here in Alabama, and that's the way it was. They had to hunt in Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear people complain. They're like, well, they don't get but 6 or 8 teams in it. I'm like, well, because other people, they're not traveling across state lines.
Yeah.
And you just don't have property running out your ears to go hunt. I guess if there was public access to some of these, I feel like there would definitely be more. People would take a shot at it, to come hunt it. But
I would, with all these public lands, I always wish they would start one where you hunt it on public land and kind of put everybody on the same same land. That would be neat to me, just because it put everybody on the same level, and then you would start really separating dog power.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of dogs, what kind of dogs do you prefer to run now? I know you said you used to have rough dogs, and I know about what you're running, but for the listeners out there, tell them what you got.
We try to run. If I had to put it in fractions, it would be 3/4 cur dogs with about a quarter walker dog in them. Now there's dogs out there with a touch of plot in them. There's dogs out there with a touch of bird dog in them. There's 2 out there with a touch of blue tick in them, but the mass majority of them, if you had to break them down, are quarter hound, mostly walker, and then 3/4 cur.
I got you.
And that seems to work for how I like to hunt. I run a lot of cast dogs, and try to run them as tight mouth as possible, though some will give out a little bit of mouth. And I do have right now, I have 2 walker dogs in the July out there. Just that come from Mr. John, just playing with them, just something to play with. And they will make some noise, that's for sure. But yeah, I grew up around. My grandpa had over 100 head of Walker dogs, so I am kind of fond of them. And they just got a drive that is insane. And I'm talking about running walkers. But it, when I've heard you tell stories about the what is it, Rick dog y'all got?
Yeah.
And some of the stories, I'm like, yep, that's what they do. That's what they do. So I don't want all that mouth, but I do like to cross a little of it in them dogs to get some of those traits for sure.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people contact me about that, and they're wanting that particular type dog, and I'm like, look, that's not how all of them are, but you can get those characteristics and traits and breed them. Honestly, I'm putting him over a cur dog, and I'm probably going to breed it down to about a quarter. Because like you said, you know what the full-blooded ones do.
Yeah.
And I went with people years ago who had whole packs of them, and I didn't really care for running 8 or 10 dogs at one time. So I was like,
yeah.
I mean, now don't get me wrong, I can sit there on tailgate and listen to them hammer all day long. But with this one that I got, I found he could do it by himself. So I was like, okay, well, we'll work with this.
That's right.
And I put a young dog with him when we go hunting. I change him up too. And he keeps them cur dogs kicked on out yonder. And they're still tight mouth. So
well, and that's what I've been doing with these a little. I'm actually been using them to run young dogs with.
There you go.
And the thing about it is they make so much noise. If he wants to run, if the young dog wants to run, he has no excuse for not being in the race. If he comes out, it's because he does not want to be in the race. Because what the problem we have with the tight mouth dogs trying to work young dogs is if they got confused, they just got left.
Yeah.
And so the two things we really find them messing with these open mouth dogs to train is, like I just said, they can stay with them. And two, they do push the hog more, plain and simple.
Oh, that's a fact. I mean, that's 100%.
And this is the catch-22 to that. It's a bad thing if you're trying to catch hogs. It can be a good thing if you're trying to train dogs.
Oh, without a doubt. I think it's worked out better for me, personally, for us to have him to train with than to actually catch hog. Because, like, all joking aside, with one dog like that by itself, he don't really put enough pressure on him, and he don't give enough mouth to really push them hard. But they will go. He's still gonna move them, but he's fast enough he can get ahead of them. Well, once you put 4 or 5 like that, and they're gonna push the hog. But I was always told, and I'm sure you've heard the same thing. If you put a dog in that race, like a puppy, say a puppy or a young dog, and all those dogs are open, that puppy's going to be open too. Not these. Mine ain't.
I don't think that's 100% rule.
I don't either.
I think some dogs are going to be open no matter what.
Yes,
some are going to be closed no matter what. Some, like we had some bred halves, like half walkers. Them were on the line where I think that could be true, and you could get them to open more. But like I said, when you got just them quarters and so on, and I'm really settling on the 3/8. Like I said, I had a lot of quarter, but I think that 3/8 is going to be exactly where I want to be. But I used to be scared to death of that too. And like I said, I think if them dogs are bred right and they want to be closed mouth, it's not going to be so easy. Like I said, when them dogs were half, I had to stay away from open mouth dogs. But these dogs that are 1/8 and quarters, I'm not having that trouble with them. I can run them with them open mouth dogs.
Yep.
And the other day I turned loose that July, and they hooked a hog, and he run it for 4 hours. And the year-old puppy, his second time in the woods, run it for 4 hours with him.
Yep.
And I'm like I said, and I really didn't want him to run that long because he's still young. But like I said, he wanted to be there, and he had no no problem staying there, because if he got thrown, all he had to do was run back to the barking.
Now that
And
puppy, is that one of your crosses there?
so he's got some of my stuff in. Oh, no, I'm lying. So that one there is got some of my buddy Jay's stuff in there,
Okay.
some of the Amaker stuff in them.
Yeah.
And then I think he's got a quarter, if I'm not mistaken, of some Francis Spears stuff in it.
Okay.
Which Francis got his own stuff as crossed into the Amaker stuff too, and he's got some nice dogs. So the dog's got really nice dogs bred in him from multiple sides.
Okay. I
Um,
got you.
and like I said, those little lines, and that's kind of what's happened here. Mr. Ronnie, who just passed away,
Yeah.
started letting them dogs get out about 10 years ago. And what seems to happen is everybody who had a fairly nice set of dogs that had been breeding themselves have kind of crossed into them. And I mean the dogs are, when they're bred right, are making pretty nice dogs. That they mature really fast. They got a lot of bottom, a lot of speed. They're big dogs. So and a high percentage of them turn out. I actually got 2 puppies on the ground that are half my old stuff, which is my quarter stuff, and then they're bred into Mr. Ronnie's stuff. And I've been trying to make that breeding for 3 years, and we finally got puppies this year, which are only a week old. But we, fingers crossed, we're bottle feeding them, trying to make sure that they live. And
Well,
my wife's doing
you got them
most
here
of that.
anyway. You
Yeah,
know, that's the
correct.
biggest part, is getting them.
Yeah.
You know, to be able to get them bred up. Now those.
No,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
it's our 4th time trying that breeding.
Yeah.
And I'm 2 C-sections into it.
Oh shit. Yeah.
It's one of them joke. We joke about it, but they got to be good if they're this much trouble to raise.
Ain't no doubt. Ain't no doubt.
You can't hurt a sorry one.
Oh hell no! You get one that everything goes great and it don't get sick, or you ain't sitting up all night with it, or trying to put it back together, or you ain't run over it, or something happened. That dog ain't gonna be worth a damn.
That's right.
But you get one that's a handful from the start. It seems like I've been so nervous with these that we kept out of the couple of litters we bred up, because man, everything has really went pretty good. And they're doing really, really good in the woods. I'm like, well, they're probably just gonna cut the switch off. Something happened.
Well, just to go over what happened with these dogs. I had 2 females, which the blue one was my best female. She was a really nice dog, really nice dog, and the sister was a good dog. And I bred the blue gyp to one of Mr. Ronnie's dogs. She didn't take. We had a tournament coming up a few months later, and I took her to a spot. I never run her to exercise her. She got run over.
Oh.
So I set the sister ain't hunted in 2 years. I set the sister up. Next time she come and heat, I bred her. We had her here. She had trouble having the puppies. Had 2 of the biggest, beautifulest puppies you ever seen in your life. The actual biggest puppies I had ever seen in my life, but they were stillborn. I think she just had trouble having them.
Mm.
Bred her again, went and paid for a C-section, had 2 puppies, and they were both born. They had some issues, and they did not make it. We bred her a 4th time, and that's the puppies we have this time. So far, they look healthy. But I mean, it's crazy. And she's the last female of that breeding, which is out off some old dog we call Cup. That was a half walker dog, half her dog. It was a really nice dog. And so she's getting old. She's 9, 10, 11 years old. I have to look it up. So there's not but so many times I'm going to have to get this line. And if we don't get her bred and get puppies raised off of her, then that line's gone. And that's the best line I've raised. They every dog that's ever come out of that line's been at least an average dog, and there's been multiple really nice dogs that's come out of that line.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I was talking with a guy earlier from out in Texas, and we were talking about crosses and stuff like that. And he's only had purebred stuff, and he said, "Man, he said it's almost like they're missing something."
Yeah.
And he's got a plot that he's purchased or got a hold of, and I told him, he's like, "Well, what do you think?" I was like, "Listen, I'd cross everything on the yard if I thought that's going to make, because we're making hog dogs here." I said, "But once you get what you want, and you have a male and a female, then you start working on it." I said, "But if you don't have nothing to start with, don't start breeding no bunch of junk up."
Yeah,
I said, you got to have something good to start with, and that's one of them deals right there. You got something worth having, worth the breed, and it shows.
Well, I see so many, and I know why they do it. It's just what they have access to. But they'll take a really nice dog and breed it to
whatever.
Yes, and not that a nice dog can't come out of that, but it's all percentages. The better the genetics of the mama and daddy, the higher percentage you're going to get out of that. My wife is 5 foot. I'm 6 foot. We can have all the kids we want. Then none of them are going to be 6'7".
Mm-hmm.
It's genetics. So, and it's same with the dogs. So the better those genetics, the higher possibility, higher percentage you're going to have on producing good dogs. And good dogs that have the traits that you want.
Yes.
I don't run a lot of pure hounds. Not that they're not good. They've been around for hundreds of years because they're good.
It's not what works for you, though.
It's not exactly. And so I breed for the traits that I like in a dog, which is a lot about being cast, being fairly quiet, being really smart on how they approach. I do think a lot of dogs, their intelligence is probably the most underrated thing, people, especially in a hog dog, because it's not about just running. There's more to it, especially on how they base stuff.
I call it sensibility is what I say. I don't know if that's the correct thing, but I think that's what you're talking about, though.
Yeah. And so the few elite dogs I've seen in my life, I mean, these are the elite, the best of the best. They had a lot of good traits, don't get me wrong, but every single one of them was a really smart dog that just knew how to work hogs, knew how to get hogs bathed, didn't have to run hogs all day. It didn't push hogs. Like I said, if you run them for hours, I start asking, why are we running them for hours? Are we not fast enough? Are we getting them bathed? Are we breaking? Are we getting too rough but not catching and pushing the hog? Is the train that thick? It's not just the dogs. There's other things that go into that. But why are we having to run them for 6 hours? Because I know a fast set of dogs can kill a hog in 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it. I've had dogs. I had a dog with somebody's dog too. They could kill a hog in about 3 hours in summer.
Yep.
And so what's leading us to doing what we're doing, or taking as long as it takes. And yeah, I know hogs run, but what can we do to reduce that or limit that?
Yep. I don't know if many people really get into it that hard. I think they get caught up in this dog's out here dicking around and he ain't doing this or whatever. They're not looking at all the factors of why that hog is running. Just like you said, I watch the speed on how fast these dogs I got go.
Yep.
And there's some places I've been where I'm like, I'll ask the guys I'm with, I'm like, hey, is that a big thick spot or something? Or is it water or something, whatever. And they'll be like, oh man, it's so thick. Okay, good. Because they went from 11 miles an hour down to 4 miles an hour.
That's correct. And it's not just speed. It's continuous speed.
Yes.
So if you can you got a dog and he can blow out and leave everything, but he runs over the track and he has to circle for 3 minutes to figure it out. Well, he's not pushing no faster than the dogs that's running slower.
Yep.
And you'll see him catch up, and then he'll figure it out or get back with them, and he'll leave them again and then get confused. So it's not just speed. Like you said, it comes to tell. Does he work when he loses it? Does he work the same dang circle over and over and over and never loop out other ways to pick it up and go with it? And that gets back to first time. Tell you a story. First time I got a GPS, and I just got 3 collars. We was hunting some public land. I had a dog named Jim that was one of the better dogs I've ever seen in my life. And we turn loose on this ridge, and they go in there and get in these canes, and these canes are thick. And they strike hogs. Them hogs leave out of them canes, and it's a big, big cane patch. And them dogs are circling in that cane patch and cannot get out of that scent. And I get to watching that Jim dog that we call Jim because he had one of the tracking collars, and he come out of that cane patch and made a big circle to the left. He went back in it, made a big circle to the right, went back in it, made a big circle out, and got about halfway on that circle and left.
Yep.
Went about a mile and a half, bayed that hog. Meanwhile, them puppies and a few finished dogs, they were still in that big old cane patch making those same circles. We done caught the hog and come back. And, little things like that, and that's an extreme case, but little things like that that's the difference between catching 8 hogs and 10 hogs, 3 hogs and 4 hogs.
I believe that's a common thing, though, as far as the dogs, like you said, making a lose in the spot and then just working, wallering the tracks, what I call it. And Rick started doing that shit. And people listeners out there in the world, the only reason I talk about Rick all the time, that's the only hound I got, period. But anyway, so he started doing that, and he stayed in one spot for like 15 minutes. And just kept going around in a circle. There was a couple other hounds out there with him that another guy owned. He didn't go 40 yards outside of that. When he finally went about 50, he's hit the track, run it. And after that, if he makes a lose, he'll hit it for just a minute or two, Then, like you said, he'll go over here, then he'll go over here. And then he'll start making bigger circles. And then he'll leave out. That's if he makes a loss. And so that's some of the factors I thought, like, I'm going to keep this dog because
he's figuring stuff out.
Because he's got sensibility. He's got sense. He, even though he wasn't a hog dog, originally, he was running in the fox pen, and then he was stood up for a couple of years overall. So he started as a 4-year-old. And he's only been hunting just a little over a year old. But I noticed in them 3 hunts, he started making all these differences. That's when I really realized, like what you're talking about. I had never paid attention to that before. I never had dogs like that. I never had dogs that usually they were rougher style dogs, and we'd run 3 or 4 of them and we'd snatch his tail off,
Yeah.
and then it became about how good this dog can work. And man, there's dogs I had I thought were pretty good, and they were just dicking off. They stay in one spot. And I'm like, nope, you can't have that.
Well, what I say, you catch the easy ones.
Yep, that's right.
And everybody catches the easy ones. Then less people catch the ones that are a little harder. Less people catch, and eventually you just start weaning all the dogs out as you get to what I call the harder ones. And yeah, the more, one of the goodest things, one of the best things about
the goodest. That's what I'm talking about.
One of the best things about getting to travel and getting to hunt with all them people, and we was lucky when those videos took off. We got asked to hunt all over the country. I'm sure y'all do now with the podcast and stuff.
Yeah,
and it was nice going and hunting with other people, seeing how they hunt, the type of dogs they hunt. Maybe it wasn't even stuff that I wanted, but it worked for where they were. And as you do that over years and years, you start maybe taking 10% of what Joey does that you liked, and 10% of what Nate does, and even though you built your pack the same for your area, and they work in your area, and you start kind of manipulating that stuff where it works better in your area, but also where when you start traveling, it still works too.
Yes.
Because if you get to traveling and hunting with different types of dogs, there's a lot of ways to do it, and you can get humbled really quick.
You ain't even lying, boy. My God, yes. Yeah. We had a pair of young dogs. I was like, man, they pretty good. They were Nate's dogs, that Louis dog and M&M when they were young. We went to Rusty's out there, and like Pat went with us. So we were like, yeah, we're going to go out here and show out a little bit. Dude, they wouldn't even cast. Now the next night, it's either the next night or the night before. No, it was the next night because we had been there a couple of days. Completely different dogs. They act like they're supposed to. We bait hogs. We ran hogs. We had a great time. But that first night, I was like, what is going on?
Well, how many hours did y'all? How many hours did y'all travel?
13.
Yeah. So that's 13 hours you beat them dogs in that dog box.
Yes.
And then if they were on a trailer, which I pull a trailer, that's even rougher.
Oh, yeah.
So you beat them.
And we did. We pulled a trailer.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're dehydrated. Even if you stop and water them and all that stuff, they get dehydrated. And then the first thing you do is go cast them and wonder, well, why ain't they doing it?
Preach it, brother. Preach it.
They're dehydrated. They're sore. Even if they do run, they're sore already. So it compounds how sore they get for the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And then like me, I want to travel soon as deer season ends because that's the best weather.
Yeah.
That's also when my dogs are the most out of shape.
Ain't that the truth?
So I beat them to death. I dehydrate them. I go and run them when they're fat and out of shape. And I'm going, man, they just ain't doing like they was at the end of the summer.
Yeah, no shit.
You got to kind of step back and say, okay, they run really good for a day or two. They fell off the third day. Okay, I know why. It's because they're not in shape and they're sore and so on. And okay, I got to start figuring out ways to get them in better shape through the deer season, which is a challenge all of us go through.
That's right.
And then you get them halfway legged up, and here's turkey season.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you get them really going at the end of the summer, and you're like, oh yeah, they're there. And then you sit them up for 3 months.
You know what the best part about all that was? That what I actually learned, which I knew what would happen. I knew there's a chance of it happening. That's during the time we had really first started taking these long trips.
Mm-hmm.
And we had swapped over to all cur dogs. I used to run, bird bulls and the Drott and Jag crosses and all these high terriers and all this shit. They're trying to kill each other in the box. So I mean, I never had to deal with them having an off day of wanting to go hunt. I look back at it now though, and I'm like, yeah, they did. Because there was days I was like, man, they just don't seem like they're doing as good. They still perform. But in this scenario with the cur dogs, I was with two sure enough dog men. And we sat out there, and you know what we did? Laughed. He said, look at that son of a bitch. He said, it'll make you a like. And Pat Lewing and Rusty Mayshaw was right there. And, you're sitting there and Nate, I felt bad for Nate because he was like, he's like, Dad, he's like, I'm just ready to shoot these damn dogs, And I was like, son, at the time, I don't think they was but a year old.
Yeah. And,
and
that's
I was like,
probably the first time they've been on anything like that. They don't.
Oh, yeah. They never went nowhere.
On.
No, they had never done that. And it's asking so much of them. But like I said, and Nate even told Pat, he was like, well, what do you think? And Pat said, well, if he go out there and that hog will kill him, you won't even have to cull him.
Yeah.
And we just laughed, and then Pat literally, he said, Nate, he said, they'll eat shit and screw their mama. That's guaranteed. The rest of it, roll the dice.
Yeah. And I've done learned not to brag on one till he's dead.
Oh, yes. Wait till he's gone.
He can't make you a liar if he's passed away. But and look, dogs in different terrains act different. And I'll tell you a quick story. When I was younger, and it was when we was making this transition to bay dogs. I had a friend named Duke in Texas, and we went and hunted with him, and he had this dog called Ugly. And when I say he matched his name, he matched his name. But what Ugly did was bay hogs for 3 nights.
Mm.
Yeah, I had every one of Duke's dogs, every one of my dogs, every one of the other guys' dogs. I said, man, Duke, you want to sell that dog? And he didn't want to sell a dog. Well, I got home. A week later, he called me, and he had some issues, and he said, man, I need to sell 2 dogs. I said, I want that Ugly dog. And he had a female that I'm sure she bayed some hogs, but I can't remember her baying hogs. I just like the way she hustled. So I turned around and drove 9-10 hours and bought those dogs. Got them down here in these pine thickets. The Ugly dog never bayed a hog down here by herself.
Mm.
Now, I watched him 3 days bay hogs in front of everything.
Mm-hmm.
The Ginger dog, which was the female, stayed at my place for about 10 years, died at my place, and is the foundation to some of these puppies. Everything that ever come out of her was a hog dog.
Mm.
When I sold the Ugly dog, this back when you had the Bay Dog online, where you had to list him.
Baydog.com? Or is that
Yeah,
what it was?
yeah, something like that. And the ad said such and such yellow dog will only sell to South Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Guy called me. He said, why will you only sell this dog to South Texas? And I told him the story. I said, listen, I bought this dog out of South Texas. I watched him bay hogs in front of everything I got here. I said, that country is his country. I said, I brought him over here. I said, I've got puppies baying in front of him. And make a long story short, he bought the dog. Dog worked fine. But that's a dog that I didn't buy off of an ad or nothing. I bought that dog off of hogs.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out. And all I did was change the terrain. Now, that was rain at Katrina. That was when this country got super thick, and you had to have one that would beat the bushes.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I had a bobtail dog that I traded 2 sacks of dog feed that would beat the bushes better than any dogs
Yeah.
in the country.
Can you imagine?
And bait a lot of hogs.
Can you imagine how many good bay dogs? Just go back and think. When you first started really getting your own dogs, how many good bay dogs you got rid of because you ran the rougher dogs?
Oh, let me go a step farther. I told you about the gym dog that I was, like I said, one of the best dogs I ever seen.
Yeah.
On top of that, we had my buddy Jay, right about time Jim started getting old, got a yellow dog that was just as good as him, if not better. He was a nice dog. The amount of young dogs we got rid of because we was trying to reproduce them.
Yeah.
And some of them we gave away, some we sold.
Mm-hmm.
And then the guys are calling us 3 months later, like, why'd you get rid of this dog? He's the best dog I got. And because we was trying to recreate that once in a lifetime dog.
Yeah.
Because we was young and didn't know no better. I mean, we did, but we didn't. You know what I'm saying? And,
oh, yeah.
And just, like you said, it was, they were so good. We had some nice dogs that they weren't good enough. And I've even caught myself with these quarter walkers, and so you half, quarter, and eighth as I bred them down. And when they got at a quarter, like I told you earlier, 3/8 I think is where I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Them quarter dogs were nice dogs, really nice dogs. Little bit of mouth, just a little bit, and not enough really to bother. But you get to chasing perfection, and I bred them down more. Now there's an eighth out there, a blue male I got that's becoming. He's 3-year-old, and he's a nice dog. You can ask Kenneth and them about him. They've been hunting with him some, and he's an eighth. But and Jay's got a female out of that litter that's really nice. But as far as total pack, those quarters were total pack. They were from one end to the other were nice dogs. there was a drastic fall off when we got them to an 8 because we're breeding some of the hunting stuff out of them.
Yeah.
And chasing that 100% closed mouth dog that'll cast and do everything a hound will do, but keep his mouth shut. It's a fine balance, and it's easy to fall on that other side of the sword. And so now I'm going to kind of stay at that quarter, but you just get to chasing, and if you don't watch out, you can go the wrong direction quick.
Mm-hmm.
And
I've noticed that, like you said, but I kind of like a little bit of mouth on track now. The more I've hunted it, because I can get the young dogs to them. They ain't got no excuse to not get there. I don't want them screaming. You know what I mean? But
now them 3 I got from Mr. John, them 2 walkers in July, they scream.
They?
Yeah, I was raised around them, but I hadn't been around them in a while. Purebred.
Yeah.
And I thought I knew what open mouth was.
Oh, Lord.
And the first day I turned them loose, I had actually that blue male I was just talking about. I let him go and jump a hog. And it broke and run, and they come across the trail. I pulled up. As soon as I pulled up, they blew the box up. I dumped them on it, and my wife looked at me. She said, "What the heck are they doing?" I said, "Well, it's walker dogs. They bark a lot." She said, "That much?" And they would barking 3 times every time they took a step.
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah, I don't remember them doing that much, but I guess they did. It's been a while." And, but and we had I brought them out where we kind of same area we competition hunting, and them hogs typically don't run that bad. When I bring them out there, it's 4 to 5 hours they're going to run hog. The same hogs I take them other dogs out there and bay in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So I know people don't think there's a difference, but there is. But that little bit of barking, and I don't know how much your Rick dog does open
on hogs. It ain't much. I mean,
yeah,
it's
now and then that don't. Yeah, when that used to bother the heck out of me, but it doesn't no more. Barking every few hundred yards or a little bit here and there.
If it's
like
hot,
I said,
if it's real hot, Michael, it's like a cur dog getting excited.
Yeah.
That can say that's about how he'll do. Now there's times where if he'll cold trail, he'll locate and cold trail like he's damn trailing a mountain lion, craziest shit I ever heard. And then he'll shut up.
Yeah.
And he won't say another word. When he barks then, he's got him up, and after he gets him up moving, it's it's not bad. It's not what a damn running dog normally sounds like. So I mean,
and we've had a bunch of them that would like strike closed mouth.
Mm-hmm.
When you heard them bark the first time, they were bait or looking at it, and then if it breaks and run, they might open here and there. And like them females, them quarters I had, if you set them up for like deer season, you set them up for deer season, them first 2 or 3 hunts, they would be, it would open what I call open mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And you get them to about the 3rd hunt, they would get silent. And you might hear them open every few hundred yards, but that's same dogs. But as long as you kept them hunted once a week, they would get pretty tight. And they were real smart dogs and bait at the right distance and the right pressure. And usually if they hooked the hog and baited, it stayed bait.
What kind of distance do you need to keep the hog from breaking, to keep the pressure where it needs to be?
I'm probably different than everybody. I would say 10 feet.
Okay.
Now, thicker it is, the closer he's got to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's got to be able to see. But if he can see, 10 feet's a good mark. When they're up in their face, and that's how I used to want them when they was younger, and we videoed thousands of hours of dogs baying hogs, thousands and thousands of hours. I've got just stacks of tapes in the closet in there. And what I got to noticing is them dogs that were baying like the stereotypical baying, they'll push hogs more. Because sooner or later they're going to take a cheap shot, or they just get to pressuring the hog too much, and he gets uncomfortable, and he's gone. And And look, once again, it comes down to the dog too. The gym dog was a pretty rough dog, and he can make them suckers bay. The dog my buddy had was a little looser dog, but still could make them bay. But I find when them dogs get about that 10-foot, 8-foot mark, and they just sit there and bark, and they're not running around trying to get cheap shots, them hogs are just to get comfortable and stay there.
Mm-hmm.
But if something breaks them, bulldog misses, whatever, then it just depends on the area and terrain and all that stuff and the hogs. But you can get into running them a few hours.
I got you. That's about what I like too. Just over the years of, like you said, trial and error, and just seeing which dogs will put too much pressure and cause the hog to move. Because I've got the competition bay dogs too, and I've carried them to the woods. They're too tight,
Yeah.
So I crossed them with a, and I know it sounds crazy, but I crossed them with a rough dog, pretty much run and catch dog. And I said, let's see what we can see what we can figure out. Because I had a theory, Corey Dye told me, he said, the best bay dog is a chicken shit catch dog. I said, well, what we're going to do is we're going to do one or two things. We're going to make good bay dogs, or we're going to make absolute monsters. We make good bay dogs. They cast. Mm-hmm. I mean, they got all the best attributes of both parents. We hit a home run. I'm scared to do it again. That's what I was talking about. I'm scared. Like something's going to happen.
That's right.
But I used to figure, I was like, well, if they stay right in their face, that'll keep them now.
Well, and the thought behind that is based on open woods. Is okay, if the hog turns, we're gonna stop him. But most hogs don't bay in the open; they bay in the thickest stuff they can find.
Yeah.
And if that hog, when he turns, as soon as he does something, the dog's natural tendency is to back up. If he's a bay dog, and so when he starts to move, the dog goes back 3 or 4 foot. Well, he goes through the briars, and as soon as he moves 3 foot, he's in briars, and the dog just can't get to him. And you said, man, will he stop? You hear that? Will they stop a hog? Well, yeah. You put them in an open creek, they're gonna work the heck out of him. You put him in a 3-year-old clear cut is infested with greenbriers. They're going to have to bay him for a while just to get to the greenbriers beat down where they can halfway see the whole hog. So it's harder to work that hog, and that gets back to terrain. When we talk about hogs running, and some of the toughest terrain I've seen traveling is what I call your pine cutovers that are heavy in the greenbriers. And
man.
And it's so thick. And what's funny is that hog can trot through that stuff and keep going.
He won't even shake a leaf hardly.
No. And that stuff just rolls right over his head. And those dogs have got to fight their way through it.
Yep.
And
we used to wear them out, honest, because that's what we hunt. That most of the places, other than in the mountains or the hills, everybody's like, man, how are y'all stopping these hogs? I said, with 5 or 6 of them Jags and Hyde Terriers, they can get around in that brush real good.
Yeah.
With these bigger dogs, like you said, you start watching the speed, and it'll go from, it'll be 2 miles an hour, 3 miles an hour, and they're fighting to get through there. And that old hog is steadily gaining ground on them.
That's correct.
And so the only way I figured once we get in a block like that, we don't really have blocks here. But like if we get in an area like that, I just throw some run and catch dogs, and we just go to beating briars to get to them. If we got to catch a hog, if we got to catch one. If we don't, hell, I let him run and we go bait him 10 hours later. I don't care.
Yeah.
And
I mean, when we run the rough dogs, they would hunt, and when they find him in their bed, they would just catch him.
Yeah.
And you just eliminate the run.
That's right.
But I was also in my 20s and could fight through 100 yards of them greenbriers and run, as far as I need to run. And those days are gone. Now I'm baying so I can get there real close with the catch dog.
Yeah, you're probably almost 40 years old now, ain't you?
Almost.
I was thinking about that today, just a little while ago. Grandkids was running across the yard, and I was like, I'm running, and I was realizing I'm just walking fast.
Yeah.
I was like, my knees ain't even flexing. Like my feet aren't off the ground. I'm like, fuck, what happened? Like
Yeah,
I got old.
I can either walk to the base, or I can have air at the bay, or I can run and be useless at the catch.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's right.
but that, you just have to keep a few of them younger boys with you. It's still got good blood flow and oxygen moves through their veins.
That's right. And you know, the thing about it, like I know we talk trash, all that, but I try to go as hard as I can, just like you do. But there's a lot of guys that are our age, and that, man, they don't even try anymore. You know, they're like,
Yeah.
man, I'm old now. I'm like, shit, I'm
No,
gonna
I
keep
want to
going.
go. I want to go to the bay.
Yeah,
I just do.
yeah, ain't
Um,
no doubt.
and not now and then, every single time.
I want to see
Um,
what's happening. I'm
yeah,
nosy. I
yeah,
want to see what's happening.
uh,
I want to see what they're talking about.
that's correct. Yeah, yeah. I
But
mean, I was watching a guy today. That sucker was running up the bear, but point being is I mean, I want to go there, like I said, see what they're talking about, and
mhm,
put my hands on that thing if I can.
that's right.
You know.
So with it now, you know, but with that being said, we're talking about the younger guys coming in, and now it's their turn, and you know, you want to let them do all that they can do. I mean, how's all that working? Like I went down there and hunted with the Kill and Kenneth and them. Uh, them fellas right there, they seem like they got good dogs, good properties, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah,
Is
they
it
have.
just them, or are there more guys like that out there where you're at?
No, no. Well, in that country up there, there's a lot of them guys, and they're all that similar age. Um, and I mean, they got a lot of good places to hunt. I met those boys through Uncle Earl's. I don't know how many years ago. It's had to be 6, 7, 8 years ago.
Yeah.
But one like that goes back to one of the best things about doing, whether it's selling supplies, making videos, traveling to these shows, is you just start meeting these guys,
Yes,
and
sir.
they may come in and buy stuff, and you talk to them a little, and you talk next year, you talk to them, and that's kind of how it was with them. I just got to talking with them and bull crapping with them about hog hunting, and over a few years, and one year they invited me to come up there and hunt. We went up there and hunted a place they had and caught 10 hogs, and I had a real good time. And heck, we've been hunting together ever since then. Heck, I think we're going to try to get together in 2 or 3 weeks and make a hunt. And like I said, their land is super nice. The hog hunting culture in that area is the best I've seen anywhere. Like I said, they still work hogs. They still do everything like the old timers used to do,
Mm-hmm.
and they've got big chunks of the land, and it is probably Texas has got the most hogs, and the marshland is real nice. But far as what I call piney wood, normal land, um, that area is probably some of the nicest in the country.
I would say so. Like I said, just from where we was around, like we went to Caden Ballard's place, and he was the same way. Like they don't kill any hogs over there.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
what
saying?
they do, they
Well,
kill them to eat though.
yeah, that's
They
what I'm
work them.
saying. Yeah, they're not just going like, hey guys, let's go hunting. I'm going to show off, and you know we're going to go do this. Uh, and like you said, everybody just worked together.
Yeah, they still catch them big bars and they process them. They make cracklings. They make grease.
Oh yeah.
They do, like I said, they do the old timer, old school way of doing stuff. That for some reason, over the last 30 years, roughly, I don't know the exact time frame, we've convinced everybody that hogs are no good for nothing.
Dude, ain't that the truth? Shit.
And you go up there, and them boys are doing everything the right way. And like I said, it's the whole area, and they've got big pots where they can make grease,
Mm-hmm.
lard, and
Did I
yeah,
post that video of the cooker thing that they showed us down there, or the scalder?
I didn't see it, but
I
yeah,
don't
I
think
mean
I did. I need to post it because I think Kenneth and him was going to go back and get it from Mr. Chris down there. He had it. And I told him, I said, if y'all don't get this, I said, I want next shot at it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The big old scalding vat, it's got weights on it. Like you can pull it and flip the whole hog up out of it, man. I was like, cause see, we still do that here ourselves, but it's just me and Nate and Rodney and him, you know,
Yeah,
it's not the culture there.
that's right.
It's not even culture. That's the heritage. That's the history.
Yeah.
That's everyday
And see,
life.
before I was born, it was like that here. All this public land, well, it's now public land. It used to just be swampland, river
Mm-hmm.
bottom. All the old timers that lived in it had marked hogs, and they worked the hogs. And there was still a little of that when I was a little kid, but it kind of went away. And like I said, now they don't work those. And look, this is some of the best hog hunting in the country
Mm-hmm.
around here, you know, in this river bottom by here. And they're just, nobody does that anymore. And you know, they kill a hog and drag it off, say it's no good to eat, and go to the store and buy it.
Yeah, that's wild to me. I mean,
And hey, look, I tell you another story real quick. My buddy Will, he's in his 20s, and started hunting with him about 10 years ago. He's in Georgia, and they hunt farm hogs. They have to kill them. Them hogs tear up
oh
everything over
yeah,
there. And so those hogs are. I joke with him. I said, Will, these are grain-fed hogs. I said, them old hogs were eating by the house, eating marsh mud all day. I said, your hogs are eating corn and soybean and all that stuff. I said, these are grain-fed hogs. And he said, them hogs are no good to eat, no good to eat. And so when we go over there, it's super good hunting. We've had days we catch 30 hogs,
damn.
and you got to kill them.
Yeah.
So after a year or so, I told Tiffany, I said, heck, I'm bringing backpacks and Ziploc bags and a good knife. I'm gonna cut back straps and get especially these nice big old sows.
Mm-hmm.
So we started doing that, and like I said, that was when we first started hunting with Will and them first few years. He went over to my buddy Jay and he said, Michael and them aren't eating them nasty things, huh? And Jay says, yeah, they eat them. He said, oh no, they were nasty.
Jeez.
So we got home, and that's just what he's been taught,
Yeah.
or not taught, but that, you know, what people think.
Yeah.
And so we get home, and Jay just happened to get a new smoker, and they didn't have our good Southern seasoning up there in South Carolina. So we took some of them back straps. I said, we're just going to make some of these back straps, and we'll cut them in cubes and bring them to hunt the next day. So me and Tiffany got in there, and we just, when I say piece together some recipes, if we normally cook backstrap and it's an 8, we probably made some 5s, you know,
Mm-hmm.
for its taste. That next day, I brought them out there, and I had a rack on my Ranger, and I rolled them Ziploc bags down and put them. There's 3 different flavors. We put them on there, and I'm telling you, them boys were about to chew their fingers off eating them, and little
Mm-hmm.
chunks of meat. And that's they said, "What is this?" I said, "That's them old nasty hogs y'all said aren't no good."
Yeah.
And they ate every. It was 3 big gallon Ziploc bags. They ate every bit of it. And,
Well, I mean, it's the truth. Like you said, the grain-fed hog deal. They started. They passed a baiting bill here several years ago now, and dude, the hogs don't hit corn piles like they used to. You could dump a barrel of corn out, and every hog in the country's coming.
yeah,
Well, now I mean, there's deer feeders and stuff everywhere. People feeding turkey or whatever, you know, and so there's way more access to corn. But we killed a hog one night. It was a bad boar hog, and we got in a jam. We killed him. I told Nate, I said, well, let's cut them back straps out of him. I said, hell, if nothing else, we'll quarter him up, and we'll just make dog food out of him.
yeah.
Man, that thing had a fat cap on him. I said, well, this must be a blooded hog or something. I got to think about it, and I said, you know, all these hogs are eating are mass crops out here in the woods and then corn. And this is no joke. That particular hog, I cooked it for Nate's wedding. And it's been a couple of years ago. And people had no idea it was a wild hog.
Yeah.
and it was a boar. One guy was there. He said, "Is this wild hog?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You got to be kidding me." I said, "No." He said, "Big old sow." I said, "Nope." He said, "Oh, bar hog." I said, "No." He said, "Well, that ain't a boar." I said, "That son of a bitch is a boar hog." I said, "His nuts was in him till we cut him out." And it's just the difference in what they're eating and where they're eating. And like you said, they've been demonized. These hogs have.
Yeah, and look, I got a buddy, Craig, and he hunts now, runs dogs now, but years ago he didn't. And Craig is I mean, he's a cook. He's a really good cook anything. And when he was younger, he used to have big parties on the weekend at his house every weekend, and big cookouts, whatever he could get a hold of. So back then, when we was hunting, if we caught a big old boar hog out of that marsh, just I mean, the worst possible scenario you could do, we would bring it to Craig. Craig would skin it out. That weekend, he would cook it, and people didn't know what it was. And I'm telling you, he had this big wood grill. Heck, sucker had to be 4 foot in a circle, and it never would make it to the plates. People would just eat it off the grill. And I mean, the same people would say, "Oh, that they're no good to eat."
Mm-hmm.
And I always wanted to have like some type of big uh, video series where you take and you get somebody like Craig that cooks that good and get them to cook that wild hog and
Yeah,
kind
not
of
tell nobody.
yeah, and interview the people and find the ones that said wild hog is no good and get them to eat it and get and not tell them, get an honest opinion from them. And I would say you're going to have a 90% that people like it. Where if you told them it was wild hog, you might get a 30%.
Oh, I agree. I mean, I've been in that situation before where people like we're sitting there eating, and they're like, "Oh, where'd you get these Boston butts at?" And I'm like, what?" You know, and I'm like,
And the creek,
"That's a day." Yeah, I was like, "That's a hog we caught," and they're like, "Oh, I don't eat wild hog." Like, you just ate 3 pounds of it,
that's right.
you know.
Yeah.
And but no, that I think a lot of it is the preparation, how you clean them, and how you're going to cook them. You know.
Hey, one of the things we do, I kind of like the sows, the back straps pretty much all go in the fry meat, but the sows will take the hindquarters and maybe smoke, do different things. We'll take the front shoulders with the sows and cross cut and make country style pork ribs.
Mm-hmm.
And then what we might take the leftovers from the sows and put in big Ziploc bags, and we take the young boars, and put in them big Ziploc bags, and we'll make sausage out of that.
Yeah.
And a story I always tell, we was hunting that public land, and I think in 12 days we caught like 120 hogs, 110 hogs, whatever it was. It was over 100. So we just got these big ice chests that we rounded up from wherever we could get them, and people's taking some and as hunting with us, but it's just piling up, and we're making sausage out of some of it. And so over that year, we was taking those back straps out and eating them. There was one hog that year that and it was not a big hog. It was a little hog that when my wife cooked it, I said, "That's a boar hog."
Mm-hmm.
And they say it may could because the sow was in heat or whatever it might have been. Now, I never got another back strap. That was only one side of it. That I said, "Well, that's the other half of it." So somebody must have took the other half. But that out of over 100 hogs, there was one that I say wasn't fit to eat.
Mm-hmm. Now you go back 30 years ago or 20 years ago. I can remember some of the first big rank boar hogs that I ever said, "Oh, I'm gonna cook it." The whole and you could taste and you could tell it was a boar hog, but it wasn't like it was unedible. It wasn't horrible. And so immediately, as soon as we catch one, we'd go ahead. If he was still kicking, we'd go ahead and cut his nuts out, then dispatch him. That seemed to help. But like I said, after that baiting bill came in and corn was the main thing, Bro, it's like all our hogs, like I ain't bought pork from a store in 15 years, and I'm not going to.
No, we don't.
You
And
know.
Tiffany, it's been a few years ago, but she bought some and cooked it. And when she cooked it, I said, "That's tame hog," and she
Yes.
said, "Yeah." I said, "It ain't got no flavor."
It's greasy.
Yeah.
I eat a pork chop. Well, when we was at Uncle Earl's, my daughter cooked one, and I'm talking about this one, which was a slab. Now, when I seen it, I said, "My God," I said, "Hell yeah!" She cooked. I'm gonna eat it, and it was good. But like you said, it is not the same. It didn't have no flavor from the meat itself. She put the
That's
seasoning
correct.
on it. She lived in Louisiana. She threw the seasoning to it, and I was just it's just different. It's just different. I don't care for it. And so, I mean, I wish more people would do it like that instead of pulling up to a field and seeing, 30 or 40 hogs laid out there, or 2 or 3 hogs, anything just laid out there or thrown in a road ditch.
Well, and let's go a step farther.
Mm-hmm.
There's still buying stations in Texas that are buying wild hogs and selling them.
Oh, I know.
So, I mean, are you leaving a hog and going to the store and buying a wild hog?
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Do you really know?
yeah, I do. I understand it's a small percentage, but
Come on now.
uh,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of that's still a big thing over there. I have a lot of friends that hunt over there and actually make a pretty good living selling them wild hogs.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, from what I've heard, they send them a lot of it up north and to Europe because that Texas wild hog is a delicacy.
Yeah, that's the same thing I've been told. And like, there's restaurants that have it. No, but there's a place. I don't know if it's still going or not, but it was in South Alabama, and they used to sell nutria and raccoon.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody from up north would come down and buy. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you come over my house, if most people, let's say, put it this way, not just you, but just the average everyday person comes over and they're like, "What's for supper?" Oh, we have a nutria, rat, and raccoon. Eating
That's
some
right.
coon and sweet taters or something. They're gonna look at you like you done lost your damn mind.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm gonna push my elbows out and get after it.
Well, yeah, that's the thing about me.
Like that's what I said.
I'm
Other
gonna,
people.
I'm gonna try anything.
Oh yeah, but I just think, overall in the whole industry, you and I are both in it. You're the OG. You've been in this thing a long time. I think hog hunting is probably at its pinnacle right now with as far as the popularity.
Yes. Yeah. And it may be on the downfall.
Mm-hmm.
I would say right about time it was on TV and all that stuff. You was really just,
Oh yeah.
everybody was getting into it. Um, I don't know. It's hard to tell. I mean, business is as good as ever, but also the cost of things has went up, so you got to factor that into your numbers.
Yeah. I think, like you
But
said, it's kind of calming down. But how do you feel like about that? As far as do you see it staying stable at like where we're at right now, or going up or down in the next 5
so
years?
long as the whole population stays reasonable, it it's gonna either sustain itself, or I think it will chase the whole population. In other words, if you've got access to something, you'll do it.
Yeah.
I can't elk hunt in Louisiana. There's no elk.
Mm-hmm.
But if there was elk, I would elk hunt in Louisiana.
That's right.
So as long as people's got access and got places to go, you're going to see people get in it and stay in it. The more they invent stuff to wipe them out, that could change the whole game. And if you're not feeding 20 head of dogs, if you ain't got no place to hunt.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
Yeah. So and like I said, there's a lot of young guys get in it here and they stay in a few years, but they just can't find no place to hunt. And there's not a lot of big property around here. So it's just a constant struggle for them, and they just lose interest because of that.
Yeah, I can see that.
and it's for me. And I, we always joke. I've got access for friends that's invited me over these years to probably, I don't know the real number. This is a made up number, but let's say 1,000,000 acres. It's a lot. And that's a made up number, but it's insane how much access I have to. But locally, I have access to properties, but most of them are too small. And I'm not going and hunting 20 acres. I'm just not going to do that. I don't like, and I don't like, if you have land next to it, I'm not going and hunting 20 acres and backdooring you. We was raised, you don't do that. If you got access to the land, I'm not going and backdooring that land and with the owner. If I go with you, I'm going to keep going with you.
That's right. Even if the owner calls you.
That's correct. Yeah.
It does not fucking matter. You do not go.
And a perfect example is a friend of mine's got property where one of the spots the spot we won your hunt on the second time.
Yeah.
And we went there this year. My buddy couldn't go, but he told me to go. And I know the landowner. I'm not calling that landowner and trying to go. And we needed to hunt that spot for the tournament. But, I mean, me and Craig's real tight and good friends. And he said, hey, I can't go. He said, but I've talked to the landowner. Y'all go for that tournament. And we did go for the tournament. But I'm not going again without him. I'm not going, when I talk to the landowner, I see him in the store. He says, y'all need to go hunting. I said, yeah, I'm going to get with Craig and see when he can go, and we'll go. Because he's the one that brought me to that spot. It's his spot to me.
Yes. I mean, that's just how that's how it is for me. But
like getting to your original question, I don't know what it's going to do. I think it really depends on the hogs. The good thing is, good, and I use good as a very loose term. The good thing, they are spreading, and that's good for my business. That's good for your podcast because it brings more people into it. But at the same time, I think they're bringing the numbers down on a lot of places. And a perfect example is that land in Georgia. When I first started going over there 15 years ago, we caught a bad day. We caught 10 hogs. You know what I'm saying? There was a few years we won every little tournament they had over there off of that farmland because the hogs were bad and there was lots of them. And night visions come in, the electronic traps has come in about 5 years. That same property you go to, and you might have a good hunt every once in a while and catch 10 hogs, but a lot of times you're going to catch 3. Damn. And what's funny, the land we used to bypass because it was thicker, we didn't want to hunt it. You can still go there and catch because they can't use those functions to get rid of those hogs as easily. Right.
Yep.
And we went over there. I think it was 2 years ago. I don't know if you watched the hunt, the 704s.
Yeah.
John, and we went over there and we caught 70 something in 4 days. The day we went to the farmland, we caught 2 hogs.
Damn.
We caught the other 70 on them 3 days. And that was hunting pine thickets that those hogs still could protect themselves in. So even that kind of stuff's changing, where the good spots are. The bigger pieces of property, then you only got one group of person manage them, where if you got a bunch of little 20-acre plots, well, John's got a trap, and then I got a trap, and then you got a trap, on these 20 acres. Well, heck, there's 10 traps on 100 acres.
Yep.
So them poor hogs can't move, where if it's one big piece of property and just I'm working the hogs, it's easier for those hogs to evade and live. So I don't know the answer to your question. I think it's on a teeter-totter, and it's really based on where the hog access to good hog hunting land.
Yeah, I agree. I have to, because that's a determining factor, even for guys that's been doing it forever. If the land keeps changing, or the hogs keep moving, whatever you're gonna say, and the hogs evolving and all that, what if we don't have access to where they're headed?
That's great.
You know, it
Friend of
knocks
mine,
us out.
Grant, a younger boy, Grant, that I hunt with, I was just talking to him about that about 3 days ago. And some of the pieces of property he has access to, they've trapped hard. Well, that was the big chunks he could hunt and he
Yeah.
could rely on. Well, they're cleaned out pretty hard. I mean, it's hard to train young dogs on them and so on. That's just something we're going to have to battle with. The thing that disappoints me is some of the jokes me and my buddy Jay in South Carolina, because we breed dogs together and I've done this 25 years, cycle these dogs and so on together. And, you know, when we was younger, the dogs weren't worth a crap, but we was young and we hunted them so much, we got everything we could out of them.
Yeah.
Now we've got these dogs that they are bred up, and I mean, they are really bred up. But we're older and don't get to hunt as much. And the landscape of hog hunting is changing. So you're having to adapt to that. And, so, I mean, I'm going to chase them. I'm going to drive a few hours if I have to hunt. I'm going to do what I have to keep those dogs in the woods. But a guy who's doing it recreational, boy, it can get tough on them. And I think that's why you see a lot of people get in it 3 to 5 years and they burn out. At least around here. And I would say 80% of why they burn out is because they just can't hunt their dogs. They're spending a fortune, and they can hunt that public land for a month, and then they're chasing their tail trying to get a hunt once a month. And you can't train dogs that way.
No, I've done it and been through it, and you can't do them justice. I was thinking the other day, I was like, man, some of the situations that we've been in, like you're talking about getting shut down for deer season, get shut down for turkey season, all this stuff. I was like, imagine if we could just roll year round.
Yeah.
Imagine what kind of dogs we'd have then, because we're in the same position you're in. The dogs we have now are probably the best dogs as a whole that we've ever had. These are breed specific dogs, and they do a specific job.
Yeah.
And
I call it they're genetic specific because they're bred
yes,
to exactly what genetics you want, and they're a high, you know, a top line of those genetics, because you've been able to get this dog or move things around to do it. But you still have to put them in the woods.
Yes, sir.
And you know, one of the things I see people do, and it's kind of changing the subject, but you breed some dogs and you get this one dog out of there that he's one of the top dogs you ever seen, but the rest of the litter doesn't make it. And I see this as a mistake, at least in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You got another litter over here. None of them are that elite dog, but they're all really nice, good dogs, all 8 of them. You know, I mean, I look at everything in percentages like a math equation. I want to breed those dogs that all 8 turned out.
Yep.
Because if the other one turned out 7 calls and one real good one, the odds of you doing that again is not too high.
Mm-mm.
You just you got lucky and the sperm hit the egg on that one.
That's right.
So, you know, I don't know. I get to talking in circles, but it's crazy.
I'm with it. I'm the same way. That's the same way.
Yeah, and the way we've crossed these dogs, if we can keep them in the woods, and you kind of get to wishing your life away, but you're like, gosh darn, I can't wait till we get to retire so I can hunt these things 4 days a week. I see what they're doing if I'm hunting them 1 day a week. If I can hunt them 4 days a week, you know, wow, what are they going to do?
That's exactly right.
And so, you know, the only thing we can do, I guess, is you know, keep working on the best you can till you get to that retirement age.
And that's, you know, we were joking around about retiring and all that stuff earlier, but I told you what Nate has got planned and stuff for later in the year, and if it works out to where he can get on with the fire department, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to be like just retire or whatever, but I'm going to hunt my dogs. And so what I was thinking of is like, okay, maybe take 2 dogs a month in to put with mine,
Yep.
You know, if somebody needs some help or whatever, of course, there's a fee to it, and that'll help me buy dog food and corn or whatever else that I need for these training sessions.
Yeah.
We're
And
going to
there's a
call it
market for that.
the
I get people.
casting class, brother. I'm fixing to put them where, if you bring them to me, you better have some long range antennas.
That's right. Yeah. And we get requests, not as much as we don't do as many videos, but we get requests about training dogs all the time because people don't have all all the time in the world to
That's
do that.
right.
They can't put them in the woods.
They want to go
Some
catch
people,
a hog.
like,
They want to go catch
yeah,
a hog
so
when they're off work.
that's correct. And maybe they can only hunt once a month, or they can only hunt once every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And he better be a really nice dog to develop at that rate. Where if you're putting him in woods 3-4 times and putting him on holes, putting him on tracks, putting him on long runs, and different scenarios, that hopefully he learns and develops off of that. I think there's a market for that. And all these guys that are getting into it, we see the dog is sold at Uncle Earl's every year. So there's always a market for people looking for dogs, and there's going to be the same market looking for people to train dogs.
Mm-hmm. There's a guy that's a buddy of mine. He uses him, and what he doesn't train your dog in the hunting aspect of it. But when you bring it to him as a young dog or pup, he'll have him where he's tone broke. He understands load and unload, sit, basic commands, and how to get in and out of the dog box. He usually keeps them for like a couple of weekends or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe a week even. I don't know how long it is, and I think he charges like $100 to do it. You know how easy. I mean, you know
For
how.
$100.
Yeah, for $100, bro. I would do that in a minute for some of these hardheads.
Yes, yeah. And I tell you, we talked about the amateur dogs earlier, and I hunted with Mr. Ronnie once or twice when I was real younger, but I didn't hunt with him for years. And a few years back, I got to go with him again. And like I said, everybody in this area knows him and Miss Monica's dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And they did good hunting, but that's not what I told everybody about. You know what I told everybody about the whole time we got back is how they listened.
Mm-hmm.
They ambush hogs. They got bulldogs that will stand by you. You can send them to a bay, but they'll stand by you. And if a whole hog comes running up the road, they just catch it. They don't like my see them. I work them off lead. I don't lead them very often. But if they hear a bay, I'm gonna have to walk them in there. These dogs are actively listening for stuff to limbs to break and wind and holes. But they pulled up and they had 6 bulldogs. And you're like, what the heck you need 6 bulldogs for? Well, Mr. Ronnie took 2, put on his bike. Miss Monica took 2, put on her bike. The other fellow that was with him took 2, put on his bike. You would pull up to a bay. Now the dogs are the dogs are hammering. The 2 females, when we casted it, his dog split to the left, mine split to the right. We pulled up to that first bay. He said, "You want to bring your dogs and your bulldogs?" Mine. I said, "Bring yours." He called them by name. There's 6 dogs there, bulldogs there, unleashed. He called them by name. Those 2 jumped down. We walked them in there, got close. He asked if I'm ready. Basic same principle as I walked mine in there. They caught the hog. I always used to say, I don't know how Mr. Ronnie hunts at that age. Well, I found out real quick. We rolled a hog. He told them dogs get back. They got back and watched him. We tied the hog. We walked out. They stayed right there with us, caught a hog while we was walking out. The bay dogs wasn't even there. Tied him up, got back to the bike, looked down at mine relayed. I can't remember if we went to his or mine relay, but anyway, the next ones we went to, he said, "You want to bring your bulldog?" I said, "No, we're bringing yours to everyone." And
Cadillacs, baby.
And that they're bay dogs and catch dogs listen like that. But him and Miss Monica was retired, and they worked those dogs and made them listen every day, and they hunted them 4 days a week.
Yeah, that's a huge part of it.
Yes.
And
And
you got to be able to do that, or it's hard to have that style or that kind of handle.
So what made me start doing that, this is going back 10 years, maybe 15 years ago. We went down south in the cane fields, and I was hunting with this fella, and he was a duck dog guy. And I'll be honest, I can't even remember the fella's name.
Is it Alan Adams? Didn't
No.
he do some lab work? Oh yeah,
This was in South Louisiana.
Oh, okay.
And we went, and you know, if you can train a duck dog for as how they how they listen, training an old bulldog probably isn't that hard.
Yeah.
So when we pulled up there, he took a pellet and put this in. When I tell you how long ago, nobody had UTVs; they all had 4-wheelers.
Oh yeah.
He put a pillow on that front of that front rack. Bulldog jumped up there, and I think he died for a little while up there. I didn't see him blink. So we cast the dogs, and you were talking. I don't know, 20, 30 minutes goes by, and I mean that dog. When I say he ain't moved, he has not moved. He might be dead. And so dogs strike, and they get in one of them old drainage ditches between those fields, and we drive up there, and we drive pretty darn close. I mean, they're hammering. There's 3 or 4 dogs down there, and they're echoing that ditch. They're just right down the hill, and he looks at everybody. He says, "Y'all all ready?" Yes, sir. He said, "Okay, go catch it." That thing come off that pillow down that hill, smoked the hog. We got down there and started tying that thing. He said, let go. It's looking there. He said, "Go get back on that 4-wheeler." We tied that hog. We got back up there. That bulldog was on that pillow laying down again. This is back when, remember, people say, "Oh, a bulldog ain't worth nothing."
Oh yeah.
That was the common theme back then. I looked at the gentleman. I said, "Anybody who said a bulldog ain't worth nothing has never met this bulldog."
Yeah.
I come home that night and told my wife, I said, "We are training dogs off lead, the next one we raise." And we did, and we've been doing that ever since. Now, ours aren't to that level, don't get me wrong, but boy, it's nice not to have to lead those things and to be able to tie. We tie ours to a tree, and then when I'm ready to go, I just unsnap them. The hog can be tied there, and I tell them to come, and they'll walk out with me.
Yeah, that's nice.
The only time I lead them is if a bunch of us get together and there's just a lot of noise around.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot going on. I'll just lead them. But heck, you work with them enough, they lead so good. But
you get a good one. They got a head full of sense. I mean, they're smart.
Yeah. And I could get people. They say, "Oh, you can't do that with game bred dogs."
See it.
The dogs we're messing with are as game bred as they can be. They're off of yards that people would kill to have.
Oh yeah.
And I was lucky for his bulldogs. Is my dad was big into bulldogs. He'll do anything with a bulldog. Where there was the catch competitions, weight pulling. My mom does search and rescue with pit bulls. That they love the breed, and so I always had access to them dogs. And like I said, literally in about 3 days, I can have them things where you can work them off the lead.
Yeah, usually it's not that complicated with them, especially if you one-on-one without a bunch of stuff going on, which that's the way it should be. Man, I've never had one I couldn't, like you said, I could have him sitting, come here, stay, just the basic stuff, like, I mean, in just a day or two, a couple of evenings, and you're good.
That's the last few we've done. My son would take them out 3 evenings and work with them.
Yeah.
And he's always been pretty good with dogs. And he would get them to do like everything you just said: sit, heel, stay. And in about 3 evenings, and then I would take them to the hog pen and make them do the same process while there's a hog there. And
yes.
And then when you brought them to the woods, you had to be careful the first few times, but between them e-collars and stuff, it's not nearly as hard as people, or nearly as hard as I thought it would have been years ago.
And like you just said, doing the basic stuff first and then introducing the hog after.
Yeah.
That's what I have found to be the most successful, because there have been a few times where it was on the fly and I was like, okay, try to do it here, and it's aggravating. And whatever you're doing, that dog feeds off of that. And it's better just to go ahead and do all the basic stuff first. So
yeah,
it works.
And that's, we've done got where we try to raise them as puppies. I am messing with one that was a little older right now, but I'm messing with a puppy too. But we might keep them inside for 3 months, 4 months, and really that's just for intelligence. And kind of, I guess we bond with them and they listen a little better. But and that's kind of been our process on how we approach it, and it makes the hunting so much easier, so much more enjoyable. I can go by myself and bring the bulldog and not be fighting with a bulldog and trying to deal with the hogs and all that if I'm by myself.
Yeah.
If Tiffany's with me, she goes with me a lot. If we go during the week, it makes everything so much easier, because you're not fighting that dog like we was years ago.
Hey, Michael, this the time on my card is fixing to cut off in just a few seconds. So let's wrap this dude up real quick. Just looking to see, and I thought I had more time, but we didn't got a couple hours in. Hey, listen, thank you for getting on here finally. It worked out. And honestly, if you get another spare evening or a couple hours or something like that, we'll do another one. We'll do a part 2 whenever you get ready. And I just get another, because I mean, like, this is the kind of conversation people want to hear. You know, that's what our biggest thing is. People they want to hear a real conversation. Not, it's a Q&A, but it's not a Q&A. We're just talking. Yeah. So, 2
dummies talking.
Hey, that's a fact, brother. Super dummy on this end. Man, we appreciate you so much. Thank you. And I'll get back to you.
All right. See you, bud.
All right. Bye.
Hope you enjoyed that episode. If there's anything or anyone you'd like to hear on the podcast, or if you'd like to come hunt with us, don't hesitate to contact us at dixiedoggers01@gmail.com.